The ship came out of nowhere, stared at the screen, his four compound eyes blinking in confusion. He had been an explorer for 30 cycles, and he had seen many strange things in the deep black of space. But this was different. This was wrong. He said, his voice clicking softly in the way of his people, "Come look at this." The navigation officer moved across the bridge of the pale light. Was a being made mostly of thick blue gel held together by a thin membrane. When he moved, his body wobbled and shifted like water in a bag. He stopped next to and looked at the screen. "What am I looking at?" asked. "I do not know," admitted. "That is the problem." On the screen, floating near an asteroid belt that had no name, was a ship. It was not very big, maybe half the size of their own vessel. It was made of dark metal and had a simple shape. Nothing about it looked special or dangerous. But the scanner readings told a different story. "Class III configuration," read aloud. His voice was quiet, almost a whisper. His body turned a lighter shade of blue. This was how showed fear. "That cannot be right. Run the scan again." Ran the scan again, and one more time after that. The result was always the same. Class III configuration. In all the known galaxy, there were only a handful of planets given the Class III rating. These were worlds so dangerous, so hostile to life, that no sensible species would ever try to live there. Worlds with crushing gravity, worlds with poison air, worlds filled with predators and disasters and 1,000 ways to die. Ships built to standards were made to survive these impossible places. They were rare. They were legendary. Most beings believed they were just stories told to scare children. And now one was floating right in front of them. "Should we leave?" asked. His voice was shaking. Before could answer, the door to the bridge opened. A young walked in. Her name was, and she was the junior scientist on the ship. She had bright green feathers and large, curious eyes. She was always asking questions. "I heard the alert," said. "What is happening?" Pointed at the screen. "We found something." Looked, her feathers stood up straight, which meant she was excited. "A ship, out here, this far from any trade route. Who does it belong to?" "We do not know," said. "The scanner says it is built to standards." His excitement turned to fear. Her feathers flattened against her body. "But those ships are from ancient times, from the war civilizations. They are all dead now." "Apparently not all of them," said. The three of them stood in silence, looking at the strange ship on the screen. It just floated there, dark and quiet. It did not seem to be damaged. It did not seem to be abandoned. It was just waiting. "We have to investigate," finally said. "It is our duty as explorers." "Our duty is also to stay alive," pointed out. Could not argue with that, but he was curious. After 30 cycles of mapping stars and cataloging rocks, he had finally found something truly unknown, something that might be important. He could not just fly away and pretend he never saw it. He said, "Can you find any information about that ship?" Hurried to her station and began working. Her feathered fingers moved quickly over the controls. After a few moments, she made a sound of surprise. "I found a registry," she said. "The ship has a name. It is called HSS Dandelion." Dandelion, repeated. The word meant nothing to him. "There is more," continued. "The origin world is listed. It is called Earth." Searched his memory. He had studied thousands of planets during his career. He had never heard of one called Earth. He walked over to station and looked at the information on her screen. "Search the galactic database," he ordered. Searched. The database was vast, containing information about every known world in the galaxy. It took only a few seconds to find a result. What they found made all three of them go very still. Earth read aloud. "Class III quarantine recommended, no contact advised." "There is more," said, pointing at the screen with one of his gel-like arms. "Look at the environmental data." They looked. The numbers were terrifying. Gravity, one standard. This was heavy. Most civilized species preferred gravity of 0.3 to 0.5. Atmosphere, 21% oxygen. Oxygen was a dangerous, reactive gas. Most species needed only 5% at most. Surface coverage, 70% monoxide, water, a powerful solvent that could dissolve almost anything. Temperature range, -90 to +60 degrees, wild swings that would kill most life forms. "This is insane," whispered. "Nothing could survive on a world like this." "And yet something did," said. "Something built that ship." As if the universe wanted to make things worse, a light began blinking on the communication panel. Someone was trying to contact them. "The signal is coming from the dandelion," reported. His body was now almost white with fear. Took a deep breath. His species did not have lungs like some others, but he still found the action calming. "Open the channel," he said. For a moment there was only static. Then a voice came through the speaker. "Hello, you need help out there." The voice was strange. It was warm and friendly, with an odd rhythm that did not recognize. It spoke in Galactic Common, but the accent was wrong. The words were simple, but the meaning was clear. Someone on that ship was alive. Someone had seen them, and that someone was asking if they needed help. Looked back at. "What do we do?" asked. Did not know. In all his training, in all his experience, he had never been prepared for this moment. He was looking at a ship from a crewed by beings that should not exist, and they were offering him assistance. Part of him wanted to run. Part of him wanted to hide. But a bigger part of him, the part that had made him become an explorer in the first place, wanted to know more. "This is the survey vessel Pale Light," said, speaking into the communicator. We are explorers. We did not expect to find anyone out here." There was a pause. Then the voice came back and could hear something strange in it. It took him a moment to recognize what it was. Laughter. "Yeah, we get that a lot," the voice said. "We are the dandelion. We are just passing through. Want to come aboard? We have coffee." Did not know what coffee was. He was not sure he wanted to find out, but he knew one thing for certain. His life was about to change forever. The docking process took almost an hour. Had to check and recheck every safety measure. He made sure the airlocks were sealed properly. He made sure the environmental shields were working. He made sure his crew had their hazard suits ready. The hazard suits were necessary because the dandelion's internal environment was deadly. "The gravity alone will crush us," said as he struggled to put on his suit. His gelatinous body did not fit well inside the rigid material. One full standard unit. That is twice what we are used to. "The suit will help," said. "It has gravity compensation built in." "And the oxygen?" asked. She was adjusting her helmet, making sure her feathers would not get caught in the seal. 21%. That is practically a fire waiting to happen. "Keep your helmet sealed at all times," ordered. "Do not eat anything. Do not drink anything. Do not touch anything without gloves. Am I clear?" "Yes, Senior Explorer," both of them answered. The airlock opened with a hiss. Beyond it was a short corridor that led to the dandelion's docking bay. The walls were plain gray metal. The lights were bright and harsh. Even through his suit's filters, could feel the weight of the gravity and the sting of the oxygen-rich air. They walked slowly, carefully, like they were walking through a minefield. Every step felt dangerous. Every breath felt like a risk. At the end of the corridor, a door opened, and there they were. The humans. There were 5 of them standing in a loose group. They wore simple clothes. They had no protective gear of any kind. They stood in that crushing gravity as if it was nothing. They breathed that toxic air as if it was sweet and clean. Felt his heart's beating faster. These were creatures, real living creatures. One of them stepped forward. It was a female guest based on the body's shape. She had dark hair cut short and a face that seemed to move and shift with every emotion. She smiled, and the expression was strange and warm. "Welcome aboard," she said. "I am Captain, this is my crew." She pointed to each of them in turn. "This is my chief engineer." Was a large male with a round face and kind eyes. He was holding some kind of food in his hand and chewing slowly. He waved at them with his free hand. "This is our medical officer." Was a small female with long hair tied back. She had a gentle smile and curious eyes. She bowed her head slightly in greeting. "This is our security chief." Was the biggest of them all. His arms were thick with muscle. His face was calm and serious. He nodded once slowly. "And this is our pilot." Was the youngest. She had bright eyes and could not seem to stand still. She bounced on her feet and grinned widely. "Hi, it is so nice to meet you. We never get visitors out here." Tried to speak, but his voice would not come out. He was overwhelmed. These creatures were impossible. Everything about them should not exist. Managed to find words first. You are not wearing protection." Captain looked confused. "Protection from what?" "The environment," said. "The gravity, the oxygen levels, the radiation. How are you not dying?" The humans looked at each other. Something passed between them. Then, to the horror of the aliens, they started laughing. It was not mean laughter. It was surprised laughter. The kind of laugh you make when someone says something you do not expect. "This is normal for us," Captain explained. "This is how our ship always is. It is comfortable." "Comfortable," repeated. Her voice was high with disbelief. "Maybe we should sit down," suggested. "You all look like you are going to fall over." She was right. The alien crew was struggling. Even with the gravity compensation in their suits, the weight was exhausting. Felt like he was carrying a boulder on his shoulders. They moved to a common room. The humans walked easily, their bodies moving with a grace that seemed wrong given the conditions. The aliens shuffled and stumbled, leaning on walls for support. The common room had a large table and several chairs. The aliens sat down with relief. The humans sat across from them, still looking curious and friendly. "Can we get you anything?" asked. He had finished his food and was now holding a metal cup filled with dark liquid. "Water, juice, coffee." "No," said quickly. "No, thank you. We cannot consume anything from your world. It would be dangerous." "Dangerous?" tilted her head. "How? It is just water." "Water is a powerful solvent," explained. "It can dissolve organic tissue. It is used in industrial processes on many worlds." The humans stared at her. Then they looked at each other again. More of that strange, silent communication. "We drink water every day," Captain said slowly. "We need it to survive. Without water, we die in about 3 days." Made a sound of horror. "You put a universal solvent inside your bodies, on purpose." "We are mostly made of water," said. "About 60%. The aliens did not know how to respond to this. It was too much. It was like learning that someone lived inside a fire because they liked the warmth. "So," Captain said, clearly trying to change the subject, "what brings you out to this part of space? You said you are explorers." Forced himself to focus. He was a professional, he could handle this. "Yes, we are a survey team. We map unknown regions and look for anything of interest." "And you found us interesting?" asked with a grin. "Your ship," said carefully. "It is built to specifications. We have only seen such ships in old records. We thought they were from extinct civilizations." "We are not extinct," said. His voice was deep and quiet. "No," agreed, "you are not." There was a moment of silence, then leaned forward, her eyes bright with interest. "I noticed one of you seems injured," she said, looking at. "There is a crack in your membrane near your lower section. Is that painful?" Looked down at himself. He had not noticed. There was indeed a small crack in his outer membrane, probably from the stress of the heavy gravity. Blue gel was slowly leaking out. "Oh no," said, panic rising in his voice. Oh no, I need medical attention. If this is not sealed soon, I could. I can help, said. She stood up and walked over to him. I am a doctor, let me take a look. You are a doctor for humans, said weakly. I am, our biology is completely different. I have studied many species, said. She pulled out a small kit from her pocket and opened it. I am sure I can figure something out. Watched as the human doctor examined his crew member. Her hands were gentle. Her movements were careful. But when she opened her medical kit, he saw what was inside. Blades, needles, tubes, chemicals in small bottles. He recognized some of them from his studies. They were tools of war, tools used to cut and pierce and inject. On most civilized worlds, such items were restricted to military use. But to this human, they were just medical supplies. This might sting a little, said as she applied something to his wound. Flinched but did not cry out. Within minutes the crack was sealed. The leak had stopped. There, said with a satisfied smile, good as new. Stared at her with wide, confused eyes. Thank you. How did you know what to do? Biology is not that different from some Earth creatures, said. You are a lot like our jellyfish, actually. Did not know what a jellyfish was, but he was beginning to understand something important. These humans were not just survivors of a deadly world. They were masters of it. They had learned to live in conditions that would kill anyone else, and they had done it so well that they did not even realize how impossible they were. They were friendly. They were helpful. They offered food and medical care to strangers. But they were also the most terrifying beings had ever met. They sat in the common room for what felt like hours. Had many questions. The humans seemed happy to answer them. They talked about their ship, their mission, their lives, and with every answer the aliens grew more amazed and more afraid. So you are a cargo ship? Asked. That is right, Captain said. She was drinking from a cup of that dark liquid they called coffee. The smell was strong and bitter and was glad his helmet filtered it out. We carry goods between human colonies, nothing exciting. You call this not exciting, said. You fly through space in a class vessel. That alone is extraordinary. Looked genuinely confused. This is just a standard ship. All human ships are built like this. All of them, whispered. Of course, we need to breathe. We need gravity. This is just how we live. The engineer had finished 3 different snacks during the conversation. He was now peeling some kind of yellow fruit. Want to know something funny? This ship is actually considered a bit cramped. Back on Earth, we have much bigger spaces. Tell us about Earth, said. He did not really want to know, but he felt he needed to understand. What is it like? The humans exchanged glances. They seemed pleased by the question. Where do I start? Said. She was sitting cross-legged on her chair, full of energy. Earth is beautiful. We have blue skies and green forests and huge oceans. The oceans, said quietly, made of water. Yes, so much water. About 70% of our planet is covered in it, and it is deep too. Some parts go down for thousands of meters. That is terrifying, said. It is wonderful, replied. We swim in it, we sail boats on it. Some humans spend their whole lives on the water. They live on top of a universal solvent, muttered to himself. By choice. What about the land? Asked. Captain took over. The land is diverse. We have hot deserts where rain never falls. We have frozen areas at the top and bottom of the planet where ice covers everything. We have forests so thick you can barely see the sky. We have mountains so tall that the air at the top is too thin to breathe. And you live in all these places. Humans live everywhere, said. It was one of the few times he had spoken. We adapt. Nodded. It is true. Humans have lived in every environment Earth has to offer. Hot, cold, wet, dry. If there is a place, humans have found a way to survive there. But surely the wildlife keeps you contained, said. Class III worlds have dangerous predators. The humans laughed again. It was a sound was getting used to, even if he did not fully understand it. Earth has many predators, said. He had finished his fruit and was now eating something crunchy. Big cats that can kill with one bite, bears that stand 3 meters tall, sharks in the ocean with rows of teeth, crocodiles that have not changed in millions of years because they are already perfect killing machines. And you survive against all of these. We do more than survive, said with a grin. We used to hunt them. Before we had technology, humans would chase animals across the plains for hours, sometimes days, until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. We just kept going and going. Made a small sound of distress. You ran your prey to death. Persistence hunting, explained. Humans are not the fastest or the strongest, but we can go farther than almost any other creature. Our bodies are designed for endurance. That is, search for the right word, that is horrifying. It is effective, said simply. Captain reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. Here, let me show you some images of Earth. She pressed a button, and a holographic display appeared above the table. The aliens leaned forward to look. The first image showed a massive storm. Clouds swirled in a spiral pattern, stretching across hundreds of kilometers. Lightning flashed inside the dark mass. This is called a hurricane, said. They form over the ocean and can destroy entire cities. This happens often, asked. Every year, we have a season for them. The next image showed a mountain with fire shooting out of the top. Molten rock flowed down its sides. Smoke filled the sky. A volcano, explained. The inside of our planet is hot liquid rock. Sometimes it comes to the surface. Your planet is not even solid, sounded like he might faint. The surface is solid, mostly. More images followed. Earthquakes that split the ground open. Tsunamis that sent walls of water crashing onto shores. Tornadoes that spun through the air, destroying everything in their path. And through it all, the humans talked about these things as if they were just facts of life. Inconvenient, sometimes dangerous, but ultimately normal. You know what I miss most about Earth, said dreamily. The rain. Rain, asked. Water falling from the sky. It happens when clouds get too heavy. The water just comes down in drops. It is beautiful. Water falls from the sky. Sometimes a lot of it. We call that a storm. You can hear thunder and see lightning. When I was little, I used to count the seconds between the flash and the sound to see how close the storm was. The aliens could not process this. A world where water fell from above, where fire burst from the ground, where the air itself could spin into a killing machine. And humans thought it was beautiful. I think I understand now, said slowly. Your ship is not built to specifications because you want to go to dangerous places. It is built this way because you come from one. Earth is not that bad, said with a smile. It is home. Your home would kill any of us in minutes. Probably, admitted. But that is not Earth's fault. Earth does not know you are there. It is just being itself. And humans learn to live with all of this. We did not just learn to live with it, said. We learned to love it. Earth is dangerous, yes, but it is also alive. Every rock, every tree, every creature is part of a system that has been going for billions of years. We are part of that system. We are not separate from our world. We are made from it. The room was quiet for a moment, then spoke again. Humans have a saying, he said. What does not kill you makes you stronger. That is insane, said. That is Earth, replied. Before anyone could respond, an alarm started blaring. Red lights flashed on the walls. The sound was sharp and urgent. What is that? Jumped to his feet, his suit struggling to keep up with the sudden movement. Captain was already moving toward a communication panel. She pressed a button, and a screen lit up with text. It is your ship, she said, her voice suddenly serious. The pale light, something has gone wrong. Felt his blood run cold. What kind of wrong? Looked at him with those strange human eyes. For the first time, he saw something other than warmth in them. He saw focus. He saw readiness. "Hull breach," she said, "and a fire, your ship is dying." Panic took hold of like a cold hand around his throat. A hull breach, a fire, on his ship, the ship that carried all their supplies, all their data, all their hope of getting home. "We have to go back," he said. His voice was shaking. "We have to." "Wait," Captain held up her hand. The gesture was calm but firm. "If there is a breach and a fire, your ship's atmosphere is venting. Going back now would be suicide." "But our ship is in trouble. I understand. Let us help." Stared at her. "Help? How can you help?" Turned to her crew. The change in her was remarkable. The friendly, relaxed captain was gone. In her place was someone focused and ready for action. "Suit up, standard rescue configuration." On it said. He was already moving, all the lazy comfort gone from his body. He moved fast, faster than would have expected from someone so large. Simply nodded and followed. "Prepare the medical bay. We might have injuries." "Already thinking about it," said, heading in a different direction. "Stay on the bridge. Monitor both ships. If anything changes, I want to know immediately." "Yes, Captain," ran off, her feet pounding on the metal floor. Within seconds, the humans had transformed from a casual crew into a well-organized unit. They moved with purpose. They did not panic. They did not hesitate. Felt useless. His own crew was standing behind him, trembling with fear. They were scientists and mappers. They were not built for emergencies. "What are you going to do?" asked. "And we'll go to your ship," explained. "They will find the breach, seal it, and put out the fire. Once things are stable, we can assess the damage." "You want to send your people into a burning, depressurizing ship?" "Yes." "That is insane. They will die." Smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew something others did not. "They have done worse." And returned. They were wearing suits now, but not like the suits the aliens wore. These were simpler, thinner. They looked almost flimsy. "Are those your protective suits?" asked. "They look insufficient." "They are enough," said. Was carrying a bag of tools over his shoulder. He also had a metal rod attached to his belt. It looked like some kind of weapon, but could not identify it. "Ready?" asked them. "Ready," they said together. "Go, be careful." "Always," said with a grin. Then he and walked into the airlock and were gone. Moved to a monitor where he could watch their progress. The screen showed the two humans crossing the short distance between the ships. They moved through the vacuum of space like it was nothing, like they did this every day. Maybe they did. The feed switched to a camera inside the pale light. The scene was chaos. Smoke filled the corridors. Sparks flew from damaged panels. The air was being sucked out through a hole somewhere in the hull. Emergency lights flashed red, casting everything in a hellish glow. And into this nightmare walked two humans. Led the way, his eyes scanning the damage. He talked as he moved, his voice coming through the communication channel. "Hull breach is in Section 4. The fire is near the engine room. Someone left a power coupling loose and it sparked when the breach happened." "Can you fix it?" asked. "Give me 10 minutes." 10 minutes. The alien crew would have needed hours just to put on the proper safety equipment. These humans were planning to fix everything in 10 minutes. Moved ahead toward the breach. The camera showed him approaching a section of the wall where metal had been torn open. Through the hole, stars were visible. The vacuum of space was right there, pulling at everything. Most beings would have run the other way, walked straight toward it. "What is he doing?" whispered. "His job," said. On the screen reached the breach. He pulled something from his belt. Some kind of foam sprayed out, covering the hole. The foam expanded rapidly, filling the gap, hardening in seconds. The suction stopped. The breach was sealed. "Temporary fix," reported. "It will hold until we can do proper repairs." "Good, help with the fire." Moved toward the engine room. The fire was worse there. Flames licked at the walls and ceiling. The heat was visible, distorting the air. Normal beings would have cooked inside their suits. Was already there, spraying some kind of chemical onto the flames. The fire resisted at first, then began to die. Joined him using another sprayer. Together they pushed the fire back, inch by inch. "It is working," said in disbelief. "They are actually doing it." Within minutes the fire was out. Smoke still filled the corridor, but the immediate danger was gone. Was already at a control panel, running diagnostics. "You lost some systems," he said. "Life support is damaged, but I can rig something temporary. You will not be comfortable, but you will live." "How long will the repairs take?" asked. "A few hours for the basics. For full repairs you will need a station, but I can get you flying again." Did not know what to say. These humans had just done the impossible. They had walked into a disaster and fixed it like it was a minor inconvenience. Said, "Is there anything else we should know about?" There was a pause. On the screen was looking at something off camera. His face had changed. The easy smile was gone. "Actually, Captain," he said slowly, "there is something else. I found what caused the breach." "What was it?" "Not what, who." Another pause, then moved the camera to show what he had found. It was a creature, long and thin like a snake but with no scales. Its body was dark and oily, and it had rows of tiny teeth in a circular mouth. It was dead now, frozen by the vacuum before had sealed the breach. But even dead, it was terrifying. "That is a void eel," breathed. "Oh no, oh no, no, no." "What is a void eel?" asked. "A space predator. They live in asteroid belts. They feed on energy. They chew through ship hulls to reach power cores." Was talking fast, his words tumbling over each other. "If there is one, there might be more. The protocol is to abandon ship. We have to leave. We have to leave right now." Abandon ship sounded almost offended. "Because of this thing." "You do not understand. Void eels are deadly. They are why this region is not mapped. No one comes here because of them. This one is dead. But there could be others. They hunt in groups. If the rest of the swarm finds us, then we will deal with them," said. His voice was calm, too calm. He was looking at the dead creature like it was nothing more than an inconvenience, like it was just another problem to solve. "You cannot fight void eels," said. Her voice was small. "They are space predators. They have survived for millions of years." "So have humans," replied. He reached down and picked up the dead eel with his bare gloved hand. He examined it for a moment, then tossed it aside. "Small," he said, "probably a scout. The others will come looking for it." "Then we run," insisted. "Running does not work with predators," said. "They will follow the energy signature. The only way to survive is to fight." "Fight against void eels." "It would not be the first time we fought something that wanted to eat us." His voice came over the communication channel. "Are you seriously thinking about fighting space monsters right now?" "I am thinking about keeping everyone alive," replied. "Same as always." Captain was quiet for a moment, then she spoke. "How many do you think?" "Based on the scout's size, maybe 10, maybe 20. "And you can handle that?" "I can try." There was silence on the channel. The alien crew held their breath. This was madness, complete and total madness. Then spoke again. "Do what you need to do. We will be ready to move if things go wrong." "Understood," said. He pulled that metal rod from his belt. With a click, it extended into a long pole with a sharp point at one end. A spear, a weapon that humans had been using for hundreds of thousands of years. He was going to fight space predators with a spear. "He is insane," whispered. "He is human," replied. And somehow that explained everything. The first void eel appeared 20 minutes later. Saw it on the monitor before anyone else. A dark shape moving through the asteroid field, sliding between rocks with terrible grace. It was bigger than the scout, much bigger. Its body was as long as a small ship, and its circular mouth was lined with teeth that could chew through metal. "Contact," announced from the bridge. "One large coming from the asteroid belt. Speed is increasing." "I see it," said. He was standing in the damaged section of the pale light near the sealed breach. The temporary repair would not hold against a direct attack. He needed to stop the creature before it reached the hull. "Maybe you should come back," said. There was worry in her voice. "We can outrun them if we leave now." "They are faster than we are," replied. "And they do not get tired. If we run, they will catch us. Better to fight here where we can control the situation." How is standing alone in a damaged ship controlling the situation? "I am not alone, I have." His voice came through the channel. "I am almost done with the engine repairs. Give me 5 more minutes." "You might not have 5 minutes," said. "The void eel is closing in, and I am picking up more contacts behind it, at least a dozen." Felt sick. A dozen void eels against one human with a spear. This was not a battle. This was a slaughter waiting to happen. "Captain," he said, "please call your people back. This is not worth dying for." Was watching the monitors with a calm expression. "Knows what he is doing. We need to trust him." Trust him to fight monsters. Trust him to survive. On the screen, the first void eel reached the pale light. It circled the ship once, twice, sensing the energy inside. Then it turned toward the sealed breach. It could smell weakness. Stood waiting. The creature attacked. It moved faster than anything that size should move. Its mouth opened wide, revealing rows of teeth, and it slammed into the hull right where the breach had been. The temporary seal held, barely. Did not wait. The moment the creature hit, he moved. He opened an emergency airlock and stepped outside into the vacuum of space. His suit was the only thing keeping him alive. One tear, one failure, and he would die in seconds. He did not seem to care. The void eel saw him. For a moment it seemed confused. Prey was not supposed to come to it. Prey was supposed to run and hide and scream. Raised his spear. "What is he doing?" asked. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Something very human," replied. Pushed off from the hull, floating toward the creature. In zero gravity, he moved with surprising grace. He had trained for this. He had prepared his whole life for moments like this. The void eel attacked. Its mouth opened wide, ready to swallow him whole. Threw the spear. It flew true, crossing the distance in a heartbeat. The point struck the creature right in its open mouth, driving deep into its body. The void eel thrashed, trying to shake the weapon free, but was already moving. He had a second weapon now, a torch. The same kind had used to seal the breach. He ignited it, and blue flame burst from the end. Fire in space. It should not work, but humans had found a way. Grabbed onto the thrashing creature and drove the torch into its side. The flame cut through the oily skin like it was paper. The void eel screamed. The sound did not travel through space, but the alien crew could see it in the way the creature twisted and fought. Within seconds, it was over. The void eel went still, pushed off from its body and floated back toward the ship, breathing hard but alive. "One down," he said. 11 more incoming, reported. "They saw what happened to their friend. They are angry." "Good, angry things make mistakes." Appeared in the airlock behind. He was holding something larger now, a modified welding tool connected to a tank on his back. He grinned at the camera. "Thought you might need some help," he said. "I had it under control." "I know, but this is more fun." The two humans stood together as the swarm of void eels approached. 12 creatures, each one a killing machine evolved over millions of years. They had no fear. They had no hesitation. They were pure hunger. And they were about to meet humanity. The battle was chaos. The void eels came from all directions, striking at the humans, trying to overwhelm them with numbers. But had fought together before. They moved in perfect coordination, covering each other, creating space where they could strike. Modified welders sent arcs of superheated plasma across the vacuum. Void eels screamed silently as their bodies were burned and cut, moved like a dancer, dodging attacks, driving his recovered spear into any creature that got too close. They were not just surviving, they were winning. On the dandelion, the alien crew watched in stunned silence. This was impossible. This was completely and utterly impossible. Two beings standing against a swarm of space predators, and not only holding their ground but pushing back. Hal asked, "How are they doing this?" Answered, she had been watching with a strange expression on her face. Pride realized. She was proud of them. "Humans evolved to fight," she said. "Our ancestors faced predators every day. Lions, wolves, bears. We did not have claws or fangs or armor. We had to use our minds. We had to work together. We had to never ever give up. But these are void eels. They are not Earth predators. A predator is a predator. Humans have been fighting them for 1,000,000 years. We know how they think. We know how they move. We know their weaknesses." "What weaknesses?" Smiled. "They are not used to prey that fights back." Outside, the battle was ending. Half the void eels were dead. The rest were retreating, disappearing back into the asteroid field. They had never faced anything like this. Their instincts told them to hunt, but their survival instincts were stronger. These small pink creatures were not worth dying for. And watch them go. They were both covered in dark void eel blood. Their suits had multiple tiers that the autoseal systems had barely managed to close. They were exhausted, pushed to the very edge of what their bodies could handle. But they were alive. "Clear," reported. "Clear," confirmed. On the dandelion let out a whoop of celebration. "They did it. They actually did it." Captain allowed herself a small smile. "Told you to trust them." Could not speak. He had just witnessed the impossible. Two humans had fought off a swarm of void eels with fire and sharp sticks. They had done what entire fleets could not do. And came back through the airlock. They were both limping, had a gash on his arm that was bleeding through his suit. His face was pale from oxygen deprivation. But they were smiling. "That was exciting," said. "We should do that more often." "You are injured," said, already moving toward them with her medical kit. "It is just a scratch." "Your arm is split open." "I have had worse." Finally found his voice. "Why did you do that? You risked your lives for us, for strangers. Why?" Looked at him. The human's eyes were tired but warm. "Because you needed help." "But you could have died." "Everyone dies eventually. Might as well make it mean something." Nodded in agreement. "We protect our pack. That is what humans do." "We are not your pack," said. "We are not even your species." Captain walked over and put a hand on his shoulder. The touch was strange and warm through his suit. "We just spent hours talking with you. We shared food and stories and worry. That makes you pack enough." Did not understand. He was not sure he would ever understand. These humans had almost died for beings they had just met, and they acted like it was the most natural thing in the world. Maybe it was. Maybe you learned that survival meant helping others survive. Maybe the only way to face an impossible universe was to face it together. "Thank you," said finally. It seemed inadequate, but it was all he had. "No problem," said. "Now if you will excuse me, I missed lunch because of all this. I am starving." And just like that, the moment was over. The humans went back to their lives, eating, talking, laughing, as if fighting monsters was just another part of their day. Began to realize that for them, it probably was.